Lesson 9. If you were babysitting, would you rather, pick one of these. You charge $5 for the first hour, or $8 each hour after that, or $15 for the first and $6 for every hour after that. Which one are you choosing? Go ahead.
Either one, because they both add up to the same amount after a certain amount of hours.
Okay.
So if you babysat for 5 hours using either one of them, you got $45.
Okay, so 5 hours for either one is $45. So what if I'm there for more than 5 hours? Okay, you found the spot where they meet, and that's what we're going to be talking about, right? So if I'm going to babysit for less than 5 hours, this one's going to pay me more.
Yeah.
If I babysit for exactly 5 hours, it's equal. If I'm going to be there for more than 5 hours, this one's better. Okay, so it depends. How long am I babysitting for? Okay, so you got to take that into consideration. Same thing when you're looking for a job. Okay, all the benefits that they give you, you got to take into account. Take a look at the next problem. Amount of water in 2 tanks every 5 minutes is shown below. Describe what is happening in each tank. Draw a picture. Say it verbally or write a few sentences. So take a look at what's happening in tank 1. Write a sentence. Draw a picture, whatever you want. Then describe what's happening in tank 2. Okay, what's happening in those tanks? Gavin, what's happening in tank 1? By how much? $175 minus 25. 130. 150, yes. Same as 325 minus 175, 475 minus 325. It's not just the first 5 minutes, it's every 5 minutes. It's increasing by 150. Okay, so every 5 minutes that tank's getting more full by 150 liters. Yeah, with the other one, tank 2. Gabby, what's happening there?
Going down 100 liters every 5 minutes.
And that one's going down 100 liters every 5 minutes. All right. So use the table and guess, when will the tanks have the same amount of water? When will the numbers be the same? Well, I mean, this one's getting more full, this one's empty. At some point, they're going to have the same. I mean, they don't show you every minute, so it's going to be a gap in there somewhere. One went from 1,000 to 0, the other one went from 25 to 15, 25. At some point, they were the same. What do you think, Othniel? Where do they cross at? It says estimate. Well, let's look. This one, 700, 600, 500. This one's at 600 here, so it's got to be somewhere between here. This one went from 475 to 625. This one went from 700 to 600. It's somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. 18, that's fine. It just says estimate. The only way you get that wrong is to not do it. Not guess. Right? It says estimate. What'd you say, 18? Sienna? 18?
Yeah.
All right. Somewhere in here is where they cross. Now with what we know about equations, we can figure out exactly where they cross. Because the amount of water in tank 1 is shown by this equation. Tank 2 is this equation. So if we solve it for t, time, we should know that for sure. Once again, your first step, add 20, subtract 30. What do you want to do? Add 20t or subtract 30? Add 20. I also like positive numbers. Okay, so that would be 50t. Now what? T's are good. I'll get rid of this thing. Subtract 25. What's 1,000 minus 25? 975. Wyatt, what's my last step?
Couldn't ask me.
It's the same on all these. Somebody other than Sienna needs to tell me what's going on.
You divide
By?
60.
There we go. You divide by what's in front of the letter. 975 divided by 50. If you don't know that off the top of your head, you probably need a calculator. If only we had a device that would help us with that.
Oh boy, oh boy.
975 divided by 50. Go.
What?
What? 19.5. Sienna, how was your guess?
That's pretty close.
Pretty close.
It's not.
It's not 19.
It's not 19 and a half?
It's like 19 and 1/10.
That wouldn't make sense.
Did you divide it out?
Pretty sure it's 19 and 1/10. Hey, class.
Oh, it's 19.
How?
975 divided by 50. 19.5. On the nose.
How that work? Oh, because half of 50 is 25.
That's right on. Sienna, that was a good guess. About 18. All right. Now instead of analyzing tanks, we're going to look at elevators. Gives us two equations. A certain time of day, the time traveled takes elevator A to reach height h in meters is the following equation. And the travel time it takes elevator B to reach is this equation. So once again, you have two equations. Question number 1, what is the height of each elevator at this time? Okay, so what is the height? Well, what is the time? What do I plug in for t if it's at the beginning here? Time is 0, right? So t is 0. That is my initial start. So my equations here are given. Time is 0.8 h plus 16, and time equals negative 0.8 h plus 12. So time is 0, I gotta plug in 0 here. So let's do the first equation first. How do I solve this for h? How do I get h by itself? Well, I gotta get rid of this 16. So I gotta subtract 16. Wyatt, what's my next step? Zoe, help him out again.
You take
Same as last time. Divide by, yes, divide by 0.8. So negative 16 divided by 0.8. 0.05. Sixteen divided by 0.8. That's what you did? Something doesn't look right there.
It's negative 20.
It's what?
Negative. Because if you do negative 16 divided by 0.8, you get negative 20.
Yeah, that sounds better. Should be negative 16 divided by 0.8. Negative 20. Now, you might say, negative height.
It means you're below.
Yeah, that's this one.
Or below sea level.
That's this one. You're below ground level.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is this equation. 0.8h plus 16. That was the first equation. It doesn't make sense, right? Negative 20. Well, it's 20 meters below the ground level is what that means. So that's the first one. I like 20 meters probably below ground better than negative 20. Now we got to solve this one. Time is 0. Once again, I got to get rid of this 12. How? Subtract it. Wyatt, now what? By?
0.8.
I'll take it. Divided by negative 0.8.
Negative 15.
What's that?
Negative 15.
Nope, gonna be positive. You're dividing two negatives. All right, 15 meters. Now that's this one. That means this one is starting 15 meters above ground, right? Above whatever is considered the lobby. So the second equation is actually the first drawing. All right, question number 2. How long would it take each elevator to reach the ground? Well, what is my height, do you think? If I'm going to consider ground level, what do I plug in for h? What number is considered ground level?
0.
0. So I'm going to plug in 0 for h. Why? It's height. So the first equation, once again, plug in a 0 right there. Second equation, plug in a 0 right there. So we'll see if we can do this. Negative 0.8 times 0
0.
plus 12.
12.
So this one would take 12 seconds to get to ground level. 0.8 times 0
0.
plus 16.
16.
This one's going to take 16 seconds.
Take the stairs.
Always an option. Usually takes you longer to find the stairs.
Yeah, that's usually the sign.
All right, question number 3. If the two elevators travel towards one another, at what height do they pass? So this is just like the water tanks. I'm going to put equation 1 equal to equation 2. And we want to know when they'll pass. What's my first step? Subtract or add? Do you want to work with positive or negative numbers? Okay, so we want to add 0.8h to both sides. You notice all these equations are the same. So I'm guessing you got it down, or we struggle on every single one of them. And the way you get better is to practice them. 0.8h plus 0.8. 80 cents plus 80 cents. 1.6. Subtract 16 from both sides. And then divide by whatever is in front of the h, or whatever letter. So negative 4 divided by 1.6. Again, that sounds funny, right? Negative 2.5 height. That means these two elevators will meet 2.5 floors below the ground. That's when their paths will be the same at that height. Again, I'm not a fan of negative, so I'm going to say 2.5 meters below the ground. Last one, if you are on underground parking level 14 meters below the ground, which elevator would reach you first? Okay, so you push the button, which elevator is going to get to you if you are negative 14. All right, so let's check the one that's already below the ground. Use the equation. Our height is 14 below the ground, so I'm plugging in negative 14 for the height. So 0.8 times negative 14 plus 16. If you had your calculator all open, then it wouldn't rely on one person to do all these calculations for you, class.
You have 11.2.
Other one.
Oh, wait, I didn't add 16.
Yeah, add 16.
Add 16.
4.8.
Yeah, okay.
Other one. Other equation. Plugging in negative 14. Negative 0.8 times negative 14, add 12. You think? Gavin, what'd you get when you multiplied? Wyatt? What'd you get when you multiplied? Why are we sitting there literally doing nothing while everybody else is doing your calculations for you? Open your iPads, type in the numbers. Which one is going to get there quicker? Well, do you want to wait 4.8 seconds or 23.2? This elevator here, this one that's already below ground, is going to get there quicker. All right, we're going to skip the Are You Ready? Lessons should be self-explanatory. Make sure you read directions. 6, make sure you show your work. Just writing answers down will not get you credit for that one. Show your work like we do every day when we go over them. Number 5, that's the multiple choice one of all, one, or none. For number 5, it's going to be one of each, 3 problems there. Everything else should be pretty self-explanatory, so go ahead and get started on that.